Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is TV. I have a very special guest today, man. Me and this guy, we're from the same hometown. I look up to this cat, very disciplined, has morals, and I'm glad to have him on my show. So I'm not going to hold you guys up, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Yes, sir, man. Glad to be here. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be here. My name is Seanathan Polidore, born and raised Franklin, Louisiana. I'm a father of 3 kids. I'm a husband. I'm a community activist, scholar, preferably history, African-American history, African studies, black studies. I have published 6 books, and I am a 16-year public speaker. I am a podcast host. I am a radio personality, a United States Naval veteran, blessed to go to about 23 countries, traveling and working and just evolving and growing as a person. And I try to bring all that back to the community via public speaking, my podcast shows, my Instagram videos, and my social media activism.
All right, man. Sean, let's start off like this, man. Tell me, where you're from and how was it growing up in that particular area, that city that you're from?
Yeah, man, so I'm from Franklin, Louisiana, right? Those that don't know. And, man, for me in my childhood, growing up, being a child of the 80s and the 90s, man, I totally, absolutely love my childhood. Our school split my senior year. That's when they created the West St. Mary High School. But 90% of my years is going to school with kids from all over other areas combined in one school. So our school was popping, man. Junior high, high school in particular, that's still the best 4-year stretch of my life, even after all I've done. Those 4 years in high school from 96 to 2000, we had almost like a college experience in high school. Like our high school band at the time, our band was like Drumline before Drumline came out. Like the band was hopping, prominent football team, basketball team, our theater program, which I was a part of, the theater program, traveling all over the country, doing stage plays. Like we did a whole lot in that small city. And it was very, very much, it's a hub of information and inspiration. So many things were happening in a positive manner, I would say, when I was in school.
All right. Besides school, man, tell me, what type of child, what type of kid were you growing up?
Man, I love talking about this. People see me now speaking and being confident. They think I was always like this. When I was a kid growing up, I would say I was a quiet, to myself, kind of shy kid, man. I was shy, didn't have a lot to say. I was the guy in the class, you would never know I was in your class. I'm probably barely gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna try to fade to the back of the room. I didn't really come to evolve until like probably 9th grade, 10th grade, when I started being in the acting program and I got on that stage the first time and saw the power of words to capture an audience and the energy I felt doing that. I haven't stopped talking since. That was it.
And now, that's one thing I can attest to, man, because I was actually in the theater myself. Yeah. And being from Franklin and going to Franklin Senior High,
yes,
during our time, if you were in theater, people would not believe that it's almost like a football game. Like,
it is.
If you had a play that night, it was a ghost town.
Yes.
It was a ghost town.
They all coming out.
Yeah, and Mr. L.
Yeah,
teacher,
shout out.
man,
Shout out.
Shout out to Mr. L. Mr. L sent a lot of us to
My
school.
most, I always say from pre-K to my master's degree, the most important teacher I've had in my life, the most applicable to life, was that theater program right there in the back of that school. What we did in that drama class every day. If we had cell phones back then, if we had social media platforms, we would have been going viral like almost weekly, bro. I can name certain people right now that they would have just been, they were just so talented naturally.
What you mean?
So young.
Aria Dupas.
Aria Dupas, Marcus Simpson, Sean Thomas, Dorian Middleton, Jacoby Johnson, Corey Henderson, Skylar. I can name so many people that was just.
D Hunt.
You got to think. So I came into acting in like 10th grade or so, right? They were already acting together for years. He threw me in class with them. So my first time getting my feet in the water, I'm amongst those people in the classroom every day, them doing amazing monologues, and we doing improv drills and everything, man. Things you see on TV, like the Wild 'N Out show, Nick Cannon shout out. I can name different like skit shows. We was like way ahead of our time, bro, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, as a matter of
That's
fact,
no exaggerating.
Mr. L was actually trying to send a couple of us to those improv schools. Second City is one of them in Chicago, as a matter of fact. So
Yeah,
you're most definitely right about that.
Yes, sir.
So Sean, what would you say were some of the lessons that you learned, the most important lessons, I should say, that you learned growing up in Franklin?
Man, growing up in Franklin, the important lesson of growing up in Franklin, man. You know, to say it was a small city, it wasn't like Chicago or New York or anything like that. You still had your share of learning real fast, I want to say, like, how to feel the energy of where not to go, who not to be around, where to go, where not to gravitate towards. You started learning that real early in life because you got to think, once again, being a child of the 80s and the 90s, I'm a kid at the height of Boys in the Hood coming out, Mr. Society, South Central, Juice, Tupac, a lot of the gang kind of activity, the gang kind of culture. That's at the height of my childhood. So even though we didn't really have a blood crip kind of thing going on, but it was still a sense of like this area versus that area. At our school, once again, we all in one place. So you got Baldwin fighting Franklin, you know, within Franklin, OBU might be fighting St. Joseph. You got four corners in this place fighting each other. We even had guys from, you know, the Centerville, Garden City kind of area going to our school. And the other side's going toward General area, right? So all of us combined in one school, you always had these territorial, like this infighting, right? So navigating that was interesting, especially in junior high in particular. It was a really violent time in junior high as far as physical altercations, like 20, 30 man brawls. I remember my mind vividly, bro. Like a lot was happening at the time.
Right. All right, so let's move into this.
Yeah.
You're a senior, you graduate.
Yes.
What happened after that?
So I'll do a little prequel before that. So prior to my senior year, I'm a lifelong basketball fanatic. I love basketball more than anything in the world at the time. I want to play basketball beyond high school. But I don't have like college scholarships coming knock on the door. So if people know it or not, the United States Navy and all the armed forces have sport branches. There's an all-Navy basketball team. There are Army, football, different armed forces got their own teams.
David Robinson, for example.
David Robinson played for the Navy basketball team, the Admiral.
Right.
So the Navy started recruiting me, if you will, like in my 10th or 11th grade year, take the ASVAB test, Navy come knocking, I like basketball. So after high school, to fast forward, I go to the United States Navy with the hopes and the dreams of playing on an all-Navy basketball team. That's the only sole reason why I'm there. For those that don't know, this is before 9/11. I gotta always preface that. I'm in the military before 9/11. That happened while I was in the Navy, 9/11 happened. We'll get to that later if you want. But so yeah, after high school, I graduate like May 26th. I'm off to boot camp like June the 5th. Like immediately go to boot camp. No summer vacation that summer. My first time on a plane in my life is going to Great Lake, Illinois, man. And I get thrust into the world. Because Franklin, being small as it is, like I said earlier, and the amazing family I had growing up, I was actually sheltered and shielded from a lot. And when I finally went into that great big world outside of that small bubble I was in, it wasn't always what it seemed, man. I'm around guys from all over the country, all over the world in one spot now. They have a way different mentality. They got way different mindsets and backgrounds than myself. And so it was a real crash course on learning life.
Culture shock.
Fast. Because I thought if I was a good person and I was an upstanding person, I was an honorable person, I'm not trying to steal from nobody or rob nobody or do nobody dirty, then I would be good. And unfortunately, that's not the case at all in this real reality of life, man.
Right, man.
People have ill intentions no matter how good you are as a person.
That's life.
Yeah.
So let's roll on into your education. Give me your education background.
Man, so this is a great conversation too. So I mentioned my childhood a little bit, being quiet and everything, but also my whole time in school, from kindergarten through high school, I didn't really care about school. I wasn't really crazy about school. People see me reading and posting so many books every day, they always assume I was always reading all these books. That's not my story, man. I had a long route to be who I am now. My whole time in school, education-wise, I was the average student at best. Not because I lacked mental ability, I wasn't applying myself, right? So I love basketball. I'm in class the whole time thinking about, man, what time school over with? I'm going to Ernest Sykes' house to play basketball. I'm going to King Soprano house to play basketball. Me and Jawan Jones going to play over here. Me and Cedric Small going to play over there. I'm going to Caffrey Park. I'm going to the Black Wreck, right? I'm thinking about that the whole time in school. Forget algebra class and chemistry and science and biology. I'm just totally mentally checked out, just getting through the day to get to practice that evening. I'm focused on that. So unfortunately, my academics suffered. But as a grown man in my 20s, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to college. And at that point, it's like the light bulb just came on for me, man. And after that, I started making A's left and right. Like, my academics in college far surpassed my childhood education, man. As far as my performance, it's crazy. I was always emailing my old teachers like, man, look what I'm doing. Man, look what I made in this class. And they was always like, Sean, you always could. You didn't apply yourself. You know, that's how they always respond to that question.
So my question is, out of curiosity,
Yeah.
what sparked that? What made you want to buckle down and?
Yeah, so I'll give you I'll condense it. In the Navy, an older black gentleman, he the one put me on to reading books. Because on a Navy vessel, you float in the middle of nowhere, kind of like being offshore, I can imagine, I don't know. But at the time, in the 2000s, there was no streaming, there wasn't no Wi-Fi, there wasn't no any of that. So the ship was like a floating jail, basically. All you can do is work out, watch the same little DVDs you brought, whatever that was, play little card games, and possibly read books. So an older gentleman saw me sitting there, like bored, basically. He didn't want to put books in my hand. I started reading books in the Navy. I get out the military. I keep reading books, and then I meet Anthony Bell, you know, a.k.a. Tony Bell, man. He the one put me on to more serious content. I was reading fiction for like 10 years before reading fictional things. He put me on to more serious content. So I had years of this scholarly study prior to going to college. So when I finally go to college and getting like class assignments, compared to what Tony was giving me in private for homework, this was like nothing. The things he had me doing as far as my rigor and my research and drilling me and things like that, when I went to college finally, that was a walk in the park, man, compared to my personal studies.
What did you major in?
I majored in my associates is in business, and then my bachelor's and my master's in psychology.
So how many degrees total do you have, Sean?
I have 3 degrees.
All right. Yeah. So that brings me into the next segment here. I mean, you have so many titles, but the one that I take that back is a couple that I love, man. Being that you're from Franklin, I can actually sit in front of you and say that you are a scholar and also an author. Mm-hmm. So let's get into you becoming an author.
Yeah.
And why did you feel the need to become an author?
Okay. So simply put, when I get involved in something, I'm all the way immersed in it. So whenever I like something a whole lot, I kind of sort of end up teaching it, whatever it might be. And that's a different day's topic. But after so many years of reading all these great books, my mind started thinking like, you know what? I wonder if I could write a character like that. I wonder, can I write a scene like that? Could I evoke emotion from a reader the way in which Eric Jerome Dickey's doing it, or Omar Tyree, or Toni Morrison, or whoever it might be? And so I started in private trying to craft stories. I started trying to make poetry and things like that. And so that's how I started getting my feet wet in writing. And then I went to UL one day, me and my wife, and I was very upset at the lack of African-American things they had in that big old massive school library. And so something says, Sean, if the books that you're looking for is not in the library, it's on you to write those books. It's on you to tell those stories. And that's how I started getting the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to sit down and craft my first publication.